Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
30, 35 that'll be awarded this year. And so we're looking to grow to at least a couple hundred locations nationwide. We have demand everywhere. When we run ads to introduce people to the training and to invite them to come down and check it out, we get people from all over the country, even though we're not targeting there, because people share it with people asking, hey, when are you coming to Tampa? When are you coming to Austin? When are you coming to Denver? When are you coming to Salt Lake City? And so the demand is just off the charts. It was really well received before COVID, and we were doing tremendously well. Mm-hmm. And then after COVID, even in 2020, kind of in the height of COVID, we grew 76%, and we were even closed down for a month trying to assess COVID and, you know, how real or how dangerous this really was. And it's because it kind of woke the benefit of COVID. It kind of woke people up, all the people that thought, I don't need a gun. Nothing's ever going to happen. The police are going to show up, you know, in a millisecond somehow and save me. You know, they were just kind of detached from reality. COVID helped wake them up to say, you know what, the police are great and we love law enforcement, but they can't instantly appear there, and they can't instantly appear everywhere that there's a potential crime. And with the current, environment of the criminals and what's happening, it's just rampant right now. It's just growing more and more. They're more brazen, because there's less ramifications to crimes that are committed. As you know, crime is on the rise. I mean, we're in Orange County. A couple of the cities here, where our headquarters is, a couple of the cities here are historically, two of the safest cities in America in every list that you see for 25 years. I mean, I think there's been 9 or 10 murders in 7 or 8 weeks here. I mean, it's, and you don't hear about those things, but it's there. And so crime, it's everywhere. There's no double guarded, coded a casa, guard gates, doesn't matter. It's happening everywhere. Yeah. And so, it's really important that people are aware of it. And so that's kind of what happened, is that we just had this huge influx of people going, I never had a gun before. I never wanted a gun before. I voted for all the crazy California anti-gun laws, but now I want a gun and I want training. I realize I have to be my own protector to some degree.
Yeah. And it's, it's true. I mean, I don't know how many people have listened to these 911 calls where, somebody's in their house and they're hiding in their bedroom, right? They did one the other day with some guy that was ex-special forces, and he had a gun and he was in his closet, his bedroom closet, and he was on the phone with 911, and it was forever before they got there. Yeah. Right. And by the time they got there, he had already killed a guy, and another guy was coming up the stairs. Mm-hmm. But he killed the guy. The other guy bugged out and ran away. Right. By the time the cops showed up, the guy he shot was dead, and the other guy was long gone. Yeah. Right.
It's just the reality of it.
Here's the thing. He'd be dead right now if he hadn't been armed and hadn't been sitting in his closet.
That's correct.
You with me? So they couldn't get to them in time. And, the police will tell you, oh, just call the police, just call the police. But if you really talk to the police, like if you get to know some of these guys, they won't tell you out loud in front of people what they'll tell you privately. And what they'll tell you privately is you are responsible for your own security, period. Mm-hmm. Period. All that's going to happen with them is they're going to show up as soon as they can show up, and they're going to be backup. That's basically they're going to come mop up. That's what it's basically amounts to. Right. And so the better people can learn how to defend themselves and the better equipped they are, the more safe they're going to be. And, it's not just being at home. It's out in your car. There's carjackings happening. There's all kinds of things going on that you need to be aware of what's going on around you. You need to be aware of your environment. And if something does happen and somebody sneaks up out of the bushes, you need to be able to respond to that. You need to be able to figure out what you're going to do first, second, third, fourth, right?
Mhm.
In order to neutralize whoever that is and give yourself an opportunity to get away without bullet holes, right? Or without a major amount of harm to yourself. It's what you guys do is just remarkable. And I love the fact that it's live situational type training. It's not stand there and, like you said, stand there statically and shoot a paper target. Yeah, you have to learn how to operate a gun. You have to learn how to aim. You have to learn how to hit a target. Okay, that part I get. That's basic. What you do is life application for safety. It's life application security. And what you're doing is absolutely invaluable. It doesn't surprise me in the least that you have a bunch of franchise or potential franchisees showing up and wanting to buy franchises. So if somebody is listening to this and they're interested in what it is that you're doing, and they should be, and they want to open a business, if they go to your website, they can find
Yeah, there's a
information on
franchise
franchise?
tab where they can put in information to request information about the franchise. And,
Okay.
it's really, that process is really, discovering if it's a fit for both sides.
Yeah.
So it's a process where we really kind of educate that potential franchisee,
Yeah.
see if it's a fit, make sure they understand the model. The we're we're in the process of submitting our item 19 right now, which will allow us legally to kind of share the financial metrics.
Right.
We're in the process of that right now. But I can tell you that the metrics that we have are incredibly competitive, if not better than most models out there by far. It's a higher top line revenue, unbelievable profit margins. So it really is a great business, as well as we're actually doing something good that serves the community, serves civilians, serves law enforcement, serves, individual military, et cetera. And so it's a rewarding thing. If you can make really good money, okay, and actually do something that has an impact, that's going to make your community safer, that's going to make, it's going to have a reduction in crime. It's going to better prepare people and really kind of empower people, like I said, to be dynamic thinking survivors. I mean, it's a huge bonus.
So
And
here's a
so,
question for you. So one of the things that we know, and we're also, by the way, part of the reason we have this podcast is we want to get some of these things out there. One of
sure.
the things that we know from experience, and you know this, is the way that you master a subject is to teach it.
Mhm.
Okay. So are you teaching these franchisees so that those franchisees can then teach their customers?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is unique, so we use a combination of shooting simulators that put you in real high pressure scenarios. We do force on force, we do live scenarios, we do self-defense, we do other kinds of classes and workshops, and so it's the combination of that training that gets the student at a really high level. But we're also the only curriculum, like an actual ongoing curriculum in the world, that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
If you go to your son's taekwondo school,
Yeah.
there's a white belt, it's a black belt program,
Mhm.
and there's a set curriculum, and you're learning this over a number of years. Some people are going to get there faster. Some people are going to take breaks and come back to it and finish later on. But that's how the martial arts community works. But when it comes to the firearms community, okay, it is literally, you're taking a class, you're either shooting on your own, which is most people do, go with a buddy, go with a friend, maybe they take an hour class or a 2 hour class or a half day class or a 2 day class. And that's great. And I commend anybody for getting training in gun safety handling. But at the end of the day, most of that 99% is incredibly static. So
Yeah.
it's not really realistic of preparing you. Furthermore, if you go take a class for a day on a Saturday, well, come Monday morning, you can't use any of that in a real life situation. It's not ingrained in you. There is no neural pathways built, or what people call muscle memory and myelination of the nerves. So
Right.
you really can't use it under pressure. You're not going to be able to recall what you learned,
Right.
and every day you're forgetting most of what you learned. If you can recall it even under zero pressure, you're
Right.
going to forget almost everything, and you can't use it. So to be good at something, you need frequent training, so small amounts of training frequently. That's what we do. And we have a whole program of 8 different levels. They're team levels, and it literally starts with white team and ends with black elite team. So it's 8 different levels over a number of years to progress. And we're talking about taking people up to very high level of even small unit tactics and very advanced, firearms training and self-defense training. Not everybody wants to go that far, and that's totally fine. They
Yeah.
might just want to get their concealed carry permit, learn how to protect themselves, their family. What do I do if there's a home invasion? What if I do if there's a, kind of a carjacking
Carjacking.
situation?
Yeah. Right.
How do I
Yeah.
defend my family? So those are the things that we impart that's so unique to what we do. And like I said, some of that's even done in live scenarios safely. And it's a crawl, walk, run. We're going to start somebody at the very basics in gun handling and range safety. And then we're going to build them up to being able to be more proficient, being able to shoot under pressure, think under pressure, de-escalate, communicate, take cover, escape, defend themselves. And so it's progressive and it's for everyone. For all.
What you're doing is brilliant, and I could not be more excited about the value that you're bringing. The thing that I think people need to grasp and need to understand is this is an emotional thing. Okay. So like that first time that you took live rounds coming at you, right? When you finished, I'll bet you were shaking. I'll bet you had adrenaline flowing. I'll bet there was all kinds of things that you had to rethink in terms of, did I take cover the right way? Was I really protecting myself? Was I really doing right? So do you, after people do these types of real life situations and they're coming off of that adrenaline high afterwards, are you debriefing them and asking them, how do you feel? Did you make this decision correct? What do you think about this decision? Is this something you could have done better? That kind of thing? Or is that something you're doing?
Yeah, we absolutely debrief all the scenarios. So we debrief with the student after every scenario because it's
That
really
helps. That helps, right?
Yeah,
Repetition is the mother of skill, but it's the emotional part of it that's going to help them ingrain it, right? You know this. When you're emotional, you remember things, you recall things, right? It's like Tony Robbins talks about, repetition is the mother of skill, right? So, the more you repeat it and the more you ingrain it, like you're talking about muscle memory, the whole thing, the more you do it and the more you do it at a high pitched emotion.
That's right.
And then you come back from it and you analyze it. That helps people to perfect what it is that they're doing and get better. It helps.
No question. Yeah. So there's two ways to become proficient in life and death situations. Put yourself in real life and death situations, and if you're lucky enough to survive a few, you start to kind of get acclimated to it a little bit. Hopefully, you're smart enough to kind of break down what you did right, what you did wrong.
Yeah.
Not everybody has that ability, but that's really putting yourself in a very, very, very vulnerable situations where you could end up getting killed.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
Or you prepare at the highest level of reality-based training so that when you're in a real situation, you can actually navigate it, in a way that makes sense because you've been close to that same feeling. And we absolutely debrief after all the scenarios and look at, okay, what was the communication? What was the threat recognition? Was there any de-escalation and how did that go? What was the shot placement if they did have to draw? And what was the whole decision making behind drawing the weapon if they had to? Okay, and them articulating why they needed to do so from a legal standpoint.
Yeah, and did you protect yourself properly, right? Did you take the right kind of cover? Could you have covered better from here? Is this the best right? I mean, there's a million different things that you can go over.
Right.
And I believe in the power of questions, obviously, right? What did you do right? What did you do wrong? What could you have done better? Right? Because what it does is it makes them start to think in terms of, okay, I should have been here. Okay, next time, this is what I should do. Okay, this is, you know what I mean? It's like, it's self-analysis, but it's also something that's engaging for them. And it helps to get them developed to a point to where, when the real thing happens, or, it's not going to be rote. It's not going to be perfect. Nothing ever is, but they just have a better chance of surviving it, right? And a better chance of not getting killed in the process, and a better chance of, of taking the best care of their family they possibly can. Because like my thing is, and when my kids are now 23 and 25, right? But my best friends were like, that sign that says, screw the dog, beware of the the owner. It's got a photo of the guy with the gun, right? They're like, you should change that to, I'm prepared to die if you come in here. Are you?
That might be a deterrent for some, for sure.
I'm
Yeah.
just a little intense when it comes to my children. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah,
It's like I'm gonna, you know, I'll willingly die to defend them and to protect them. You know what I mean? It's like, so, you know, that's, and it's not necessary to put your life on the line necessarily, especially if you learn what you're teaching, right? You can learn how to protect them and protect them in a way to where you come out unscathed. You come out, you know, in one piece kind of thing. So
the only way to do it is to have the realistic training.
Yeah.
Put them under pressure, and you're right. We say pain retains, right?
Yeah.
So if you put somebody, whether it's kind of that emotional stress, those stressors, or if it's force on force, which is more advanced training, not everybody wants to do it, where it's a rubber projectile. Okay. That doesn't feel amazing. It definitely lets you know you're being shot at, right? So those things do retain, and you retain the information better when you're emotionally charged, you know, like that. But without putting people in those kind of high pressure situations, you can't be in a high pressure situation without having practice being in high pressure situations.
Absolutely.
That's really the bottom line.
Yeah, it really is.
We
And
kind of build that up over time.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's a question for you. So let's say somebody goes out and they come and they see you, they meet with you, you guys decide that you're a fit, they just, you know, you decide they're a fit, that kind of thing, right? Because not everybody's going to be.
Sure.
That's the honest answer, right? It's not, you're not gonna just sell a franchise to anybody. You're gonna be careful about who you sell a franchise to, because as a franchisor, you need to be. Okay. You need to be. So you sell a franchise to somebody, you get them all trained, you get them all set up. When they open that franchise, and let's say it's in Tampa, just to use an example. If they open a franchise in Tampa, are you then helping them to hook up with local police departments and local places where people can come and get training that need it? Like, are you guys hooked up with the military at all?
Not specifically for training contracts. I mean, we do have law enforcement training contracts,
Okay.
and that can be good, you know, but that takes time to develop. So you're talking about a franchisee in Tampa, it would take them time to develop those contracts.
Yeah.
But just the individuals, the civilians, and some of those people might be law enforcement individuals, might be military individuals, but that's kind of the easiest, kind of low-hanging fruit. That's everybody wants to train. You know, one of the last law enforcement contracts that I got took 1.5 years to put together, for example.
Oh, sure.
It takes time, right?
Yeah.
So we're training. Yeah. So there's no lack of people in every community that want to train, but they don't know what this is. So there's a little education, because we're the first to ever do anything like that.
Right.
And so we do a complimentary training. Sometimes we do a certificate that's a training package. And so we're bringing people in so that they can see what it is. And then we can decide collectively if it's something that benefits them and that they want to be, you know, part of. But there's just a tremendous interest, you know, in it. And so we help the franchisee with all the training. There's a tremendous amount of support. And I think that's one of the benefits of being a franchisee with a good franchisor. Like I said, we put together kind of a dream team of people that have been in this space for a long time. So we have an online university. We have in-person training in our facility. We have training on site at their facility. There's ongoing training every week. There's the manuals, there's the videos. We've got everything that we've created to have ongoing support and kind of quality control for the training to help that franchisee. So ultimately, what we need is somebody that has a passion for what we do, believes in this, wants to do some great stuff in their community, wants to bring this, you know, to as many people as possible, and hopefully has a background in running a business or managing people, or has a really solid general manager they're going to bring in, because somebody needs to be able to run the day-to-day operations of a business. And it's really a couple different departments. It's not super complicated. It's kind of our member services, kind of customer service. We have our enrollment coaches that sign up new members, and we have our trainers. So it's not super complicated, but it's a very comprehensive upfront training program and ongoing training program.
So do you have accounting systems in place? Do you have, it sounds like you have a team that'll go wherever the location is and train the people there. Will they help to, if somebody, let's say a franchisee is buying a franchise, and let's use Tampa just because we've been wearing it out. You know, Tampa as a location, they buy a franchise, they open up, they're getting ready to open up in Tampa. Do you have a team that goes in and potentially will interview a general manager or general manager applicants, like to help the franchisee hire, that kind of thing?
Yeah, what we do is we help with that process. We're not allowed to directly hire. There's
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying bring them in, interview them, help to advise the franchisee on who kind of the best candidate might be.
we give them guidelines for, the types of candidates that they should do, scripts, ads, interview process. So all of that's covered. Like you said, I think you'd mentioned accounting. We have preferred vendors for certain things that they can
Okay.
use. They're not necessarily required to use,
Yeah.
those vendors. They may have their own accounting person per se. But so all parts of the business are handled, or at least there's a preferred provider that has worked with us before. So for the company doing the marketing, the online marketing for them, we've got a couple preferred providers for that, for accounting. So all the different services. So it's really turnkey, for them in
Yeah.
a lot of ways. It's just learning the business, the day-to-day operations, what each role is, and learning the curriculum over time to be able to get to those higher levels.
Yeah, it has to be. And the reason I say that is typically if you're going to sell a franchise to somebody, they're already in another business, right? They're successful in another business and they're buying this as an asset, right? More like an investor than they are anything else. And so, they're probably not going to be their own general manager. And the more you can make this plug and play, the better it's going to be in terms of an experience for the franchisee, and the better it's going to be an experience for you. Because the more you can plug these people in, you can help control the outcome. You with me?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So if your people who you train, who you trust, are interviewing those general managers with that franchisee, then all of a sudden your standard is being transferred, right? You're having a say in, okay, this is who we would recommend that you hire, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, it's part of the process for us approving somebody. We have to know who's going to run the day-to-day, or what type of candidate's going to run the day-to-day. So
Yeah,
that's
your typical
important.
franchisee is going to need somebody to run for
Yeah,
them.
and we're getting a mix. Some of the franchisees are going to be the full-time. Like
Yeah.
this is so compelling of an offer and a business model that we have people that are in successful businesses right now that are leaving those industries to do this because they want to do this instead.
Yeah,
And so
well,
they're going to be very hands-on.
dude, it's important. It's important. And it's more valuable, I feel like, and more vital than it's ever been. I mean, we've never been at more peril in terms of our safety than we are today. Now, that doesn't mean that things won't get better in the future, but right now things are pretty rough out there, and people need to be on their toes, and they need to know what to do if they need to protect their family or they need to protect themselves. I mean, it's, this is super important what you're doing.
Appreciate that. Yeah, it's always been needed. So even before kind of all the craziness, we were doing great and it was 100% needed. This just opened it up to almost everybody's a candidate now.
Yeah, I got you.
We're having a hard time finding people that aren't interested to be customers at this point. When we bring people down to the facility, a very high percentage of those people are moving forward as members. And the ones that tend not to move forward, it's because they live out of the area and this is too far. They want to have a closer location. Doing that drive a couple times a week is going to be too much for them.
Yeah.
Or they don't have the finances to be able to afford any type of membership package, which we have a wide variety of different price points and membership access, or they have no time. So we very rarely get somebody who they're just not interested. That almost never happens.
Yeah.
Everybody walks in the door pretty much wants to sign up. It's
Well,
just
a whole bunch of these people. Yeah, a whole bunch of these people are walking in the door. Let's be honest; they're probably former victims, right? Or they know somebody close to them that has been, and they're trying to take control of something that they were not in control of before, and it's something that keeps them up at night. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's definitely a segment for sure. It's also, the people that are just now realizing that they need to be their own protector to a degree at least, and they want to get their concealed carry permit. They want to get a gun and get training. I mean, I probably have 300 something students right now, which is a fraction of the total students we have, but that don't even have a gun because they never had a gun, never wanted a gun. And what they want to do is get a little bit of training first to even understand what they should even be doing and get a little bit of training before they even buy their first gun, which I commend, obviously. So that I think that's great. So we're getting everybody's coming in at this point and interested. But we also get the people that just want to get their concealed carry permit, or they just really like it, what we're doing. They want to improve their self-defense and shooting skills. Maybe it's vocational. They want to go into the military. They're in security. They're school resource officer. They're law enforcement. So a combination of different needs, and motivators that they have.
That's cool, buddy. Well, listen, I can't thank you enough, Wes, for being with us and being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. This has been a fast hour, buddy. This has been a really fast hour. I'm going to put a link to your website in your description. And like I said, if you have anything else that you're doing in the future, we'd love to have you back. Okay.
Love it. Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for being here, buddy.
You bet.
Take care. We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.